Welcome to my channel and thank you so much for watching this video. Today we will learn how to create a seamless terrazzo vector pattern which has so many applications across various industries such as textile, graphic, interior or product design. A digital pattern which we will create today is going to be a seamless design which will mimic the look of traditional terrazzo by featuring this kind of small, irregularly shaped elements in various sizes and colors. Here you can see some of the mock-ups which I have created to demonstrate the potential application of the terrazzo pattern, and these are the kind of fabric mock-ups. As mentioned, we will be creating a vector pattern, which means that it can be scaled up or down without losing quality or resolution. This makes vector patterns ideal to use in large format printing, such as for example wallpapers. In addition, you can easily edit and manipulate the pattern, which means that colors, shapes, and other design elements can be changed quickly and easily. Alrighty, so let's get started by choosing the color palette for our pattern. Choosing the right color palette is extremely important in my opinion, since it can greatly impact the overall look and feel of your pattern. We obviously want to choose a limited number of colors so that we can have a cohesive and harmonious design. You can draw inspiration from the world around you, such as nature, art, or fashion. I personally like to also take pictures of the architecture I like and maybe some color combinations so that I can use it in my future design projects. Today, I feel like using the website called Color Hunt. It offers us the collection of ready-to-use color palettes for web design, graphic design, and other creative projects. Personally, for me, terrazzo is associated sometimes with the orange and blue colors, so this color palette might be interesting. This one, I think, would be quite nice. We can save this color palette as the image. You can download it or you can write down the color codes directly. So we will go back to Figma and we want to transfer our colors. So I will create 4 ovals or maybe 5 so that I can add another color. And as you can see here on the right side, we have a menu and we will choose the fill. We can enter the hex color code and click enter. As you can see, the first color is matched. When it comes to the second color, we are doing the exact same thing. Copy and paste. Another color is copied. And the last one. Okay, let's see. Let's leave this color as optional and later on we can add it or we can incorporate it into our design. So now I will go ahead and create the frame. This is the artboard or the canvas where our design will be placed. So I will go ahead and press frame and change the size to 3600 by 3600 pixels. Okay, so now we will create this terrazzo effect by creating various shapes, by duplicating them, resizing them, changing the color, and placing the shapes randomly on our canvas. Let us explore the upper menu of Figma a little bit more. As you can see here on top, we have the shape tool, which offers us some default shapes such as rectangle, lines, ellipses, polygons, and star. Obviously, when we refer to the actual terrazzo design or terrazzo flooring, we will notice that the shapes are quite irregular. So if we want to achieve that effect, I highly recommend to use the pen tool. So let's go ahead and click P on our keyboard to activate the pen tool. Create our first anchor point, drag the mouse and create the second vector point, and we will just randomly click until we achieve this kind of effect of the broken glass. Once we're finished, we want to click that first anchor point so that we can close our shape and press enter. Okay, once you've created your shape, you can add a fill or stroke by selecting it and choosing the desired color on the right hand side. As you can see here, we have 2 options, fill and stroke. I will activate the fill by clicking this plus. Our shape is now filled with the default gray color. I will zoom in for you to see the actual stroke here. The stroke is a black colored outline, and to be honest, we don't need it, so I might as well remove it by clicking the minus here. And the last step would be to change the color of our shape so that it corresponds to the colors which we have previously chosen for our palette. By choosing the fill option in the right hand menu, we will be able to access the color picker tool with which we can choose this orange color, for example. By using the basic features of Figma, we can modify the size of our shape, turn it around and position the way we want it. Let us duplicate the shape by clicking Command D and dragging it somewhere on the canvas. We can then press Enter in order to modify the shape so it doesn't look exactly the same as the first one. Using the fill option, we can change the color of the shape so it looks like a totally different element. If you want to create the curve, click and hold down the mouse button where you want to start it. Drag the mouse up, down, left or right to create your curve. I will then basically proceed to creating a lot of shapes. I will choose the basic shapes in Figma, but also use the pen tool to create the unique ones. You don't have to create each shape from the scratch, you can duplicate the existing ones and modify them. So the colors of the shapes are not set in stone yet, so don't worry about that, you can change them later on. Right now I would like to focus on this concept of the seamless pattern design. I have filmed another video on that, and if you would like to see it, I will link it down below. Here I would like to explain a very simplified version of that, which is basically the fact that we want our edges of the pattern to align. We can achieve that effect by duplicating all the shapes we have on our left side or left edge of the design, exactly 3600 pixels to the right side of our design or the right edge. Just keep in mind that left and right sides are the X or horizontal axis and top and bottom are on the Y or vertical axis. So right now I'm populating the left edge of our design with various shapes. At this point I try to keep them as different as possible. I will then proceed to populating the top of our canvas. Once the left and top side of our canvas are ready, I can start duplicating the shapes to the opposite sides of the canvas. Select the first shape and click Command D in order to duplicate it. Proceed to the right-hand side menu in Figma and find your X-axis. In order to move this shape to the correct position on the right edge of the canvas, we have to add exactly 3600 pixels on the X-axis. By clicking Enter and confirming, you will see that our shape is now moved. Proceed to selecting the second shape, start typing plus 3060 and click Enter. Repeat the same steps on the remaining elements on the left side of the canvas. Once it's done, select the first shape on the top of the canvas and duplicate it as previously. This time we will find the Y-axis and repeat the same steps. By adding 3600 pixels, we will move this shape into the correct position at the bottom of the canvas. Same goes with the remaining elements on the top of the design. We want to add 3600 pixels on the Y-axis in order to move them into the right position. In order to see the edges better, I have decided to select all the shapes in the middle of my design and drag them out of the canvas. Let us now select the whole frame. Click Command D in order to duplicate it. Pull the two frames closer together, and when zooming in, check out whether our shapes are now perfectly aligned. And as you can see here, they are. And let's do the same quality check on the y-axis by dragging it below our original frame and seeing whether the shapes align perfectly. This way we can actually ensure that our pattern is seamless as we envisioned, and we are ready to populate the middle of the canvas because it's not going to affect the seamlessness of the tile. We will then position the remaining elements somewhere in the middle of our canvas. Obviously, we do not want to touch the edges anymore, since they are now perfectly aligned. We don't want to mess that up. So now it's basically just a matter of playing around with the positioning and the size and the color of the individual shapes. If you feel like you can add more, if you don't like it to be so populated, you can remove some of the elements and include bigger pieces. I also like to include very little detailing so that it actually looks like terrazzo, which has a lot of these small broken glass elements, so it's just a matter of your taste. Okay, so now we've got plenty of elements. I'm pretty happy with the way they're situated. I would like to test this pattern by rescaling it and seeing whether some of the elements stand out. So go ahead and press Shift-Command-C in order to copy your image as PNG, and press Command-V in order to paste it somewhere. Go to the Design panel in Figma on the right-hand side and choose Image. From the drop-down menu, choose Tile. This will automatically duplicate our tile, and you can even rescale it a little bit more, and this will allow you to have the kind of bigger picture of your pattern to see if it works on the larger scale. By doing so, I have realized that I don't like how this long orange element stands out, so I have decided to change its color, and eventually I have changed it totally. And the last thing which I like doing is duplicating the whole frame, the whole pattern, and changing the background color. You can do that in the Design panel on the right hand side and experiment with the color picker or the color wheel. You can enter the hex code of some of your favorite colors, for example, and see whether it looks better with a different background. So not to mess anything up, we want to group all the elements by selecting the whole frame and pressing Command-G. Okay, let's now select all the 4 groups and export them as PNG files. You can also export the files in SVG format. Since this is the vector illustration, you will be able to share this with your clients or customers, and they will be able to change the color variations of the pattern or maybe the positioning of the individual elements. So I ended up having 4 color variations of my pattern, and I'm pretty happy with the outcome. Great, so we're done with our pattern. Please keep in mind that this tutorial is quite basic, and Figma has a range of other tools which you can use to customize your terrazzo pattern. You can experiment with different techniques and styles and create a unique pattern which will suit your needs best. Thanks again, and see you next time.